I still remember the exact moment my heart cracked in two. I was standing in the break room of the company. I'd given 8 years of my life to holding a cheap paper cup of coffee that had gone cold. The economy was hurting everyone. Prices were rising, bills were stacking up, and we were all quietly struggling. But that morning, our boss, Mr. Richard Harlan, walked in with that familiar arrogant smile and said words I'll never forget. "Don't complain. This is all you can handle right now." He smirked as he said it, like he was doing us a favor by reminding us how small we were. The room fell silent. I looked around at my colleagues, people I'd laughed with, cried with during tough projects, stayed late for, single moms, young fathers, loyal employees who had sacrificed weekends and family time for this company. And there he was, in his expensive suit, telling us to shut up and be grateful for scraps. "My name is Elena, and for years I believed in this place. I started as a junior coordinator and worked my way up to senior project manager. I believed hard work would be rewarded. I believed loyalty mattered. But that day, something shifted inside me. Richard wasn't always like this. When the company was growing, he played the generous boss, team lunches, small bonuses, promises of better days. But when the economy tightened, his mask slipped. Raises disappeared. Benefits were cut. Workloads doubled while salaries stayed frozen. And every time someone found the courage to speak up in meetings, he'd lean back in his leather chair and deliver the same line with that cold smirk. "Don't complain. This is all you get." I went home that night and cried in my car for 20 minutes before I could even walk inside. My daughter asked why mommy looked sad, and I lied. I told her everything would be okay. But deep down, I felt shattered. How could someone who claimed to value us treat us like we were disposable? Little did I know, I wasn't the only one breaking. The entire staff was quietly reaching their limit. And what started as shared pain would soon become something much more powerful. The weeks that followed were pure emotional torture. Richard's behavior grew worse. He started holding motivation meetings where he'd brag about his own success while lecturing us about personal responsibility. One afternoon, Sarah, our best accountant and a single mom, politely asked about the promised performance bonuses. His response? "Sarah, in this economy, you should be happy you even have a job. Don't complain. This is all you can handle." I watched her eyes fill with tears as she sat back down. That was the moment the betrayal became real for all of us. I discovered the truth by accident. While updating some financial files, I found records showing that while our salaries were frozen, Richard had given himself a massive bonus and approved luxury upgrades to his office. Company profits weren't as bad as he claimed. He was just choosing to keep more for himself. The man who told us to tighten our belts was loosening his own. The heartbreak was overwhelming. I felt stupid for trusting him, angry at myself for staying silent for so long. But that anger slowly turned into something sharper: clarity. I started talking to my colleagues in private. One by one, they opened up. The stories were the same: broken promises, disrespect, fear of speaking out. We were all exhausted, scared, and done. I remember sitting in my living room one night, surrounded by printed documents and notes from the team. My hands were shaking. "What are we going to do?" I whispered to myself. The old Elena would have stayed quiet and hoped things would get better. But the woman I was becoming refused to accept this anymore. We didn't want chaos. We wanted justice. So we started planning carefully, quietly. We documented everything. We reached out to a labor advisor. We gathered proof of the unequal treatment, the hidden bonuses, and the toxic culture. It wasn't about revenge at first. It was about reclaiming our dignity. But the deeper we dug, the more we realized how much Richard had betrayed every single one of us. The man who once called us family had been playing us all along. That realization hurt more than anything. Yet it also lit a fire in me I didn't know I had. The day we turned the tables started like any other. Richard walked into the big quarterly meeting, ready to give another one of his smug speeches. He stood at the front of the room, flashing that same smirk. "Times are tough," he began. "But complaining won't help. This is all you can handle right now." That was our cue. I stood up slowly. My voice was calm, but steady. "Actually, Richard, we've been thinking about what we can handle." One by one, my colleagues stood with me. Sarah stepped forward with a folder and began presenting the evidence. We'd carefully compiled the financial discrepancies, the broken promises, the way good people had been pushed to their limits. The room was silent except for her voice. Richard's smirk vanished. His face went pale as we revealed how his greed had affected real lives. We didn't yell. We didn't need to. The truth was louder than any shouting. By the end of that meeting, the board who had been copied on everything stepped in. An internal investigation was launched. Within weeks, Richard was removed from his position. The company was forced to make things right. Back pay, restored benefits, and new leadership that actually listened. Watching him pack his things and leave without that arrogant smile was one of the most satisfying moments of my life. Not because I wanted him destroyed, but because we finally proved we were worth more than he believed. Today, our team is stronger than ever. We look out for each other. We speak up. And we never let anyone make us feel small again. If there's one thing I want you to take from my story, it's this: your voice matters. Your worth is not determined by someone else's arrogance or greed. When people in power try to break your spirit, remember sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't loud or cruel. It's quiet dignity, unity, and the courage to stand up together. You are worth more than this is all you can handle. Never forget that. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever been underestimated or disrespected at work, drop a comment below. You're not alone. Until next time, stay strong.